Mark Twain once said, in 20 years, you will have more regrets from the things that you did not do as opposed to the things that you did do. So, that said, our two topics today is going to be why we travel. Why do we find the need to leave our places of comfort to go someplace else? Why is that part of our DNA? And second, I want to show you one of the hidden gems of my hometown of Virginia Beach. I mean, I'm here, it's a tourist destination, most people flock to the beach. So today I'm going to show you a little off the beaten path sort of thing that most people don't know about that we personally love. So stay tuned. You know, in my lifetime, I have been fortunate enough to travel a lot. I have seen the northern lights in Fairbanks, Alaska, with an outside temperature of 30 below zero. I have spent a few nights under the stars on the Appalachian Trail. I've camped under the wing of my airplane in remote airports throughout the United States. I have drank rum drinks on the beaches of the Caribbean, and it's just been a hoot. So why is it that we love to travel? Well, I don't know why other people travel, but I can give you some idea why I travel. I had to dig deep inside myself to answer these questions as I was getting my notes together for today's video. And here's the reason I travel. I travel so I can see the beauty that nature has provided us to look at, to meet other people and understand their cultures, their lives, to experience things that I would have never anticipated experienced, when the plans you make simply go wrong, and those tend to be the best stories. And I'll tell you about some of those in a minute. And also, one of my big ones, which I've known for a long time, is that when I travel, I am disconnected from my regular day-to-day life, and I have a chance to look back on my life, my world, my existence from a new perspective, the outside. I can look in and see what changes do I need to make. Do I need to do things differently? So that gives me a whole new fresh perspective. Now, my personal style of travel is sort of an adventure travel. I like to be able to put things a little bit at risk, because I have found that when things tend to go wrong, as they tend to do when you are just traveling throughout the country, that's when the best stories emerge, and that really adds the spice to life. Now, some people don't like to do that. They don't want any risk. They are very risk averse, and they plan their trips where there is no risk, and everything is programmed out for them, such as a theme park or a cruise ship, which is really nothing more than a floating theme park, and that's fine for them if that's what they enjoy. But for me, I'd rather have some risk involved. When you're on a cruise ship or a theme park, you're with other people who want to go on cruise ships or theme parks, who are other risk-averse people, typically, and the only other people you run into are the staff who work there, are the contractors who have been hand-picked, and it's all organized to give you a projected outcome, a projected experience, and that's what they want you to have. They don't want anything to go wrong. But for me, I like things to be a little, I don't want to climb Mount Everest and risk death, or being beaten down by an avalanche. But I like to travel and anticipate the potential for a little bit of danger. And let me give you some case in points. A few years ago, Miriam and I decided we were going to do a day hike into the Grand Canyon, down into the canyon and back up in the same day. And being the obsessive compulsive planner that I am, I always carry all the gear we'll need, because you just never know what you're going to run into. Now, the forecast that day was in the 80s and in clear weather. Well, they got it wrong. Before we got back up to the top, we had run into a snowstorm with several inches of snow on the ground, and it made for some risky going, but we had the gear for it. It was unanticipated. It was arduous. It was painful, but it was an adventure. And also, when I travel, I like to experience the culture and the people along the way. And here's a good example of that. One year I was in Arizona, and we were at a little gift shop off the main highway, and I noticed that the receptionist had a CB radio at her cashier station, and she was talking to the truckers. Well, actually advertising. About every 2 or 3 minutes she'd get on her CB radio and tell all the truckers about the price of cigarettes in her shop. And so I asked her, I said, I'm just curious. I always thought that advertising on a CB radio was prohibited. And she looked at me and she smiled and she goes, well, it is in the United States. And I had this puzzled look on my face. Obviously, she knew I didn't know what she was talking about. And she said, we're really not in the United States. We're in the Navajo Nation. We're in tribal land, which is totally separate from the United States federal government, which is in compliance with our treaty. And I went, well, I had no idea. I had no idea I was in a separate sovereign nation when I was visiting some parts of Arizona. But it made for a very interesting story because I didn't know. Hello. It's still $5, right?
Yes, sir.
How much is the annual passes now? Are they going up?
Our annual pass is a senior pass.
Just the annual pass. I'm not quite as well. What's your cutoff for senior?
62.
Nah, I'm not there yet.
All right, so our annual pass has not gone up. It's still just $15.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna get one next month because we let ours expire, and I didn't bring enough money today. So.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you that.
Okay.
And you are all set to go, sir.
Good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We are in Back Bay National Wildlife Refuge, which is the bottom of Sandbridge, and we haven't even gotten to the really good stuff yet. This is just the road that goes back to the visitor center. So anyway, about to my preferred style traveling. If I had a choice, I would take a trip with just a general destination in mind, an anticipated date of return, and a budget. I would have a list of things I would take in case I ran across something unusual. But as far as planning an itinerary, I prefer to wing it and just improvise, shoot from the hip. Less stress. I don't have to make a specific amount of mileage every single day. So that's probably the format that I'll use when I go across country next year. So what makes Back Bay National Wildlife Refuge so attractive? Well, from this point north is the developed area, actually just north of here. A few miles north is the resort strip with the hotels, restaurants, gift shops, that sort of thing. And from here south, 8 miles to the North Carolina state line, there is no development. It's Wildlife Refuge and State Park. First, False Cape State Park is located 4 miles down. It's one of the few places where you can actually camp almost on the beach in Virginia. It's a unimproved camp area. You have to go back there by bicycle, on foot, or by boat. You cannot drive a car. They have fresh water and pit toilets, and there's a ranger station and a visitor center down there. That's it. Beyond the visitor center here, for 8 miles to the North Carolina state line, there's nothing. There are no condos, no hotels, no homes, no paved roads. It's just 8 miles of open beach. Oh, and by the way, there are wild horses that live in the sand dunes and in the marshy areas and occasionally come out to the beach. But that's it. And the only way down there is by foot or by bicycle or by boat. That's it. It's just a great place to go to get away from civilization. Just a stone's throw from the megalopolis that is the resort area of Virginia Beach. Kind of cool. Just to my right, about 50 yards, is the Charles Kuralt hiking trail. The Charles Kuralt, if you're old enough to remember, had a TV show back in the 70s called On the Road. And Charles Kuralt would go throughout America and visit small towns and visit the people, and had a news magazine that was on television. And he would always end the show with the same tagline that sort of became my motto. It's, I just wonder what's around the bend. And that has always been sort of my mantra. So, until next time, y'all take care. Feel free to leave us a comment below telling us why you like to travel. And if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe so we can keep them coming your way. Thanks for watching.